being the freedom that comes with living alone. They will also face challenges that come with living far from home without parental guidance and supervision. How can first-year students adjust to life a little bit easier and faster? To find us, we are now joined by the editor of City Life magazine, Edward Tsumele. Very good morning to you, Edward. Thanks for being with us.
Morning.
Edward, this talks to me because my first year was very difficult because of all the things that I mentioned. What are some of the challenges that young people are facing now when they come into universities for the first time?
They're facing many challenges, and one of which is that freedom itself. Some of them, for the first time, you're away from home, and you're going to a place that you've never been before, and you meet all sorts of friends. Some of them are, are good friends. Some of them are not.
Yeah.
And also, you go to do little things like taking responsibility for your life. And there are a lot of parties that happens at universities when the university open.
Yeah.
And you can imagine some of them are 19-year-olds because, for the first time they are in a big city at a university.
Yeah.
And all sorts of things, and one of which is a bad thing, which is the phenomenon of blessers, basically old men who scout the universities for young girls.
I was going to wait for you to come there, but unfortunately it is such a problem in South Africa. Edward has actually come and showcased the book for us here today. It's called Hamba Sugar Daddy. If you don't know what a sugar daddy is, we call them blessers here in South Africa. Normally older men who take advantage of the vulnerable young women in and around of our campuses, but also in and around rural communities where often the economics play a role.
You're correct. Especially some of these students, if you realize they come from poor families, and then they actually don't have enough money. So when they go to university, and there are these old men who scout universities, and they're flashing money, flashing cars, and it's easy for them to be taken off focus. Go out with these old men, and the results are not always good. They're very bad, almost at the end.
Yeah.
They are young and vulnerable, especially female students.
Now, you've written an open letter to young girls heading into universities, the backdrop being watch out for the sugar daddy phenomenon and don't become a victim. But often these girls, they don't think they're a victim. Now in today's society, it's almost a status symbol to be taken care of. Can one call it that?
Yeah, but I don't think it's really taken care of. It's really abusing your money. I mean, if you really want to help a student, the best thing that you could do is to help them without actually expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
Sexual favors and things like that. And I know that there are people out there who help poor students and not expect anything. And when that happens, it's actually a good thing because at the end of the day, those students, when they finish university and they're working, they're also likely to help others in return because they are beneficiaries of such generosity.
Edward, is there perhaps a sense that rural students are more impacted with this phenomenon more than students in the urban areas?
Even those from the urban areas, if you remember very well, there have been stories recently that have been running about blessers. I mean, they even have websites where people can log in to look for a blesser. So it affects everybody. But I'm just saying that those that are from the rural areas, they're more vulnerable because they're likely to come from poor families and they don't have enough money to, to go by once they're at university.
Yeah.
So they're more vulnerable. You don't have money, and here somebody comes, he's wealthy, saying, I'll take care of you. All you need to do, in exchange for sexual favors.
Is it more girls that fall into this trap, or are boys open to abuse as well?
It's more girls. It's more girls.
And what about the boys? They also go through a difficult year.
It would be a very different discourse if older women were doing the same thing, and I'm sure society would be more outraged that way. But interestingly, they don't seem to be more outraged when it's actual older men.
It's coming, Edward. It's coming, my friend. That's where we live. I wanted to shift the focus just quickly away from the blessers because one of the problems that I think maybe Alvis, you went through it, I went through it, is when you get into the first year at university, suddenly you have all this freedom and you have all the temptation around you. Yes. I found it almost impossible to keep a lid on my life in my first year. What advice do you have to students who now find themselves in this place with all this freedom and then suddenly all the temptation with no parents to tell you not to do whatever?
I think they must remember one thing, why they are at university in the first place. They are there for one and one thing only. That is to get an education, and get that degree, and get out of it and go to work. So that's the many things. You can have a party, you know, it's fine. You know, this is a time to be adventurous a little bit, but you must know at the end of the day, if you party every day and not study, the results are not going to be very good. So you stay focused and know you're there for one thing, and that is to get that degree. That is very important and crucial.
In conclusion, we're talking about tertiary education in general on the show today. Now, you're an editor. You'll kind of understand where we're heading with our question of the day and our poll. We ask: is a university degree still a guarantee of success, or should our students, should they be thinking that I should get a trade? I should get a trade and be an entrepreneur and uplift myself and my community that way.
Yeah, you see, the problem is that the way university has been sold to a lot of us is that it's the be it and end it all. There are alternatives that, you know, technical colleges, you can go there and be a plumber. You can actually make a decent living, you know, being a plumber, you know.
Absolutely.
So students must consider alternatives like that. And the university education is fine, but also the alternatives, and that is important.
Is that part of the colonization element that still exists within our education sector?
I think that is so, because now, unfortunately, if you can't make it to university and you go to technical college, you are then seen as a failure. And you're actually not a failure. Actually, probably that's where you belong. That's where you excel, actually. You know?
Yeah, I was told I was a failure and that I wouldn't amount to much and that I was going to come work in this particular teacher's garden. But I ended up okay, Edward, because, you know, in the end, you kind of land on your feet when you become a young adult and you kind of have to get stuff done.
That's exactly the point, and the thing we need to emphasize that a lot to our students, to say you might not have had an opportunity to go to university, but there are alternatives, and it's fine, you'll be successful.
Edward, thank you very much for joining us. It's a great book that he's showcasing. It's called Hamba Sugar Daddy, and it's something that South Africa needs to read, especially if you have a young lady, even if it's an extended family member. Go out and buy the book Hamba Sugar Daddy and give it to this young lady, because it is something that can change their world. This is City Life editor Edward Tsumele with us, talking about the most difficult year, first year, of course, at university, can make or break you. But let's go over to Elvis for more on the poll that we've been running today.
Well, there you have it. That's the book.